Today's episode is brought to you by Pure Strips. Use code ASN Media for up to 25% off your next order.
You're watching ASN Underground with Sam Mack. That's me. One thing we all have in common, whether you're 5 years old or 50 years old, is we've all had a dream. We all want to be that person on the TV, that guy in the magazine, or perhaps you just want to achieve something wild that you don't think anyone else can do. We spend our lives trying to become bigger and better and get the applause and flowers of our friends and followers. Sometimes these dreams start off as small passions in your mom's garage. And then one day you're working with robots. Not only that, you might end up wearing a wig and women's clothing in a movie like our next guest. We want to introduce to the stage Jay Cruze and Juan from Impacktech. I just realized I don't know your last name.
Yeah, Santiago. Santiago's the last name.
Juan Santiago, everybody. Hi, baby.
Good to see you.
Come sit down. Come.
Yeah. I'll take a seat
for
here.
having us.
Oh, comfy couch.
Yeah.
So the one thing I really want to talk about is one of the biggest impacts that you have made on my life is that you were me in a movie. Without question, this man put on my wig, put on women's shoes, dressed up like me, rode my motorcycle so that in this horror movie, I look like I know what I'm doing. Don't do your own stunts. Always trust a professional. And we are here today to talk about motorcycle stunts and the professionals who make it look so easy. Jay, first of all, I didn't warn you that you were going to dress like a woman that day, and you took it in such stride, and I'm so grateful.
Hey, sometimes you just got to own it.
You were
Yeah,
amazing.
he killed it, right? He killed it that day.
And his wife was on set, and she was like, yeah, put that wig on.
Yeah.
She was into it.
Own it. Make sure you look good.
There is a really cute Instagram video of us like side by side showing off our butts.
We look alike.
We are identical twins. My mom couldn't tell us apart.
Yeah.
But we'll get into the movies and the magic and all the things that you get to do as a stunt rider. But let's start at the beginning with the man behind the tech of Impacktech.
Yeah. I mean, so pretty much I'm the vice president of Impacktech USA. I've been at the company for the last 6 years, and I've kind of helped navigate a growth into the social media scene and the industry. Impacktech, it started in 2008. It was started by our CEO and founder, Sun Tran. He essentially was stunt riding in the lots back in 2008, and he had a Gixxer, I believe, right? It was a Gixxer 1000.
Yes.
And the problem was the cage companies that were around at the time, he kept cracking their cages.
So we need to rewind for people who don't know what a cage is. When you're stunt riding, you drop your bike.
Correct, yeah.
When you drop your bike breaks, and you're out thousands of dollars.
If that, thousands, yeah.
So we put cages on the bikes, like bumpers, to protect the bike from falling so that we can try again and become a super pro like Jay Cruze.
Yeah.
So that's what a cage is.
Correct, yeah.
So he decided, instead of spending money on new fairings and new bar ends, that he was going to solve the problem. Problem solution.
Right. Yeah, in stunt riding, you're constantly learning every single day. You're going out to the lot, practicing new tricks. And when you're learning some of the tricks, like these stoppies and wheelies, you're constantly dropping your motorcycle, right, as you're learning. So he was doing just that, and he was cracking all the cages that other competitors were making. So he's like, you know what? I'm just going to make my own. So he went to Harbor Freight, got himself like a $20 drill.
Shout out to Harbor Freight.
And Impacktech was born in his garage in 2008 by him. And 15 years later, now we have two 40,000 square feet facilities. We have 10 CNC machines. We have a robotic welder.
Tell me about the robotic welder.
Oh, yeah. No, the robotic welder was one of those decisions where we needed to make in order to scale up. If we wouldn't have made it, we would have kept making the same amount of sales we did the prior year. But if it would have failed, we would have been bankrupt. I mean, that robotic welder, nobody in the industry has tried to weld a cage with a robotic welder. Essentially, the robotic welder, it welds point A to B, right? Like a straight line.
Yeah.
And our welding, as you can see, like on the cage here on the ZXXR, it has so many different contact points. It has so many curvatures. So it took Sun weeks to try to program that to make this cage. And now all the most popular cages are welded by that robotic.
And it changes with each and every style and year, make and model of motorcycle. So it's not one cage. You guys have a catalog of what?
I think
30,
right now it's
40
about
parts?
400 different cages for year, make, and model. So
I just said 20, 30, 40.
Kawasaki made 20 bikes last year, so
Yikes.
alone. So we have Kawasaki, Yamaha, Suzuki, and Honda, the big four. And yeah, we're the biggest in the industry. And if we don't make it, nobody makes it.
Is you guys did have fantastic growth. You are the biggest in the industry. Everybody wants an Impacttech cage. There are other companies. We love them. No shame, no hate. But with that growth, you have massive demand. And supply has been slow sometimes.
Yeah. So,
And you don't mean to be slow. You don't want to be slow, but there's so many people wanting your parts. And I see every time you're online, you're doing a free giveaway or you're doing a raffle or you're talking to your followers, comment section is like, yo, I ordered so long ago. Where's my order? Where's my order? We got to touch base on this.
yeah, I mean, we pride ourselves in making everything here in the U.S. So
Yes.
everything's made in the U.S. from the material that we outsource, the hardware, the powder coating, everything. There's not one thing that we outsource. And with
You're
that,
never going to get the cheap knockoff. No one's ever going to
Right.
go what I ordered versus what I got on wish.com.
Exactly. So with that comes a long wait time, especially the demand that we have.
Yeah.
I mean, people wait 6-7 weeks for a product. I think there's a lot of people that come into the industry thinking that, you know, if our stuff was on Amazon Prime, they can get it the next day. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. It takes a team of 40 people to make one cage. So
Right.
it takes a really long time. That's just kind of like our wait time right now. But as we continue to grow and expand, it will definitely lessen.
And so you guys are expanding right now. You've got so much stock available that can be shipped tomorrow,
Yeah.
but that's limited because you're so popular. So I think one of the best things people could do is first search the website for what's available before they ask for a custom part. Is that kind of right?
Yeah, I mean, any popular bike, like you have like the ZX-XR, the MT-07, the FZ-07, all the popular bikes we always have in stock. It's really like the older stuff. So since Sun did
Like my
start it,
bike.
since
The
Sun
old
did
cheaper
start it
motorcycles.
in like 08, he started doing a lot of like older jigsters, like 01 to 03. He started doing like the F4i. So stuff like that isn't as popular. That's kind of like the wait time. For if you get something like for a brand new ZX-XR, you'll have it next day.
What if I have, a brand new bike, I just bought it, it's green, but I want to have a matching green cage and accessories. Is that possible?
Yeah, we have about 20 different powder coating colors, and if any of the 20 don't fit you, then you can order it raw, which is basically just bare metal, and then you can powder coat it yourself.
We have these cages on the bikes,
Mhm.
and the cages protect the bike from being expensive when you drop it.
Right.
Is this specific to people doing stunts?
No, not at all. I think we started off as a stunt rider company, but now, I mean, 20% of our audience is going to be stunt riders. The other 80% is just your average person that goes to a dealership, gets a brand new bike, and it's their first time learning how to ride, and they drop it, like that's our main demographic. So anybody, regardless if you race on the track, if you're a street rider, if you're a stunt rider, whatever sort of riding style you do, we make a race rail or we make a crash cage depending on your preference, and it's going to protect your ride. It's a protectment for your investment. That's essentially what it is. You're protecting your investment because unlike a car, I mean, all it takes is a gust of wind to knock this bike down.
True.
Somebody at work that's hating on you to knock it down, or for you to slip on a little piece of asphalt. I mean, it's super easy to drop these bikes regardless of how many years of riding you have.
What is the dumbest way that you've dropped your bike?
Jay, tell her that. I'm sure he's dropped his bike.
Well, the first one is sometimes you forget to put the kickstand down, or the kickstand's not completely locked in.
Engaged, yeah.
And you just go to set it down thinking the kickstand's down, and it just pushes
And you just
forward
let
and
go.
falls over. I mean, but having Impacktech is, like I said, it's $1,000 side fairing
Right.
compared to a $300 cage. So I'd rather have a $300 cage protecting my bike
Right.
than.
So, question for the people who have no knowledge about this. When your bike does fall, the cage hits the ground, do you have to replace the cage, like replacing the bumper on your car when you get rear-ended?
No, not at all. I mean, basically, the cage has its own cage protector. So on the outside, you have 2 contact points. They're made out of Delrin. So basically, when it falls, the Delrin absorbs the shock, and that gets destroyed without it actually hurting the cage. And then all you have to do is just swap out those pucks. And then your cage basically has protection from it getting dinged up, scratched up, any of that stuff. Now, if you're an incredible rider like Jay is, and you're constantly trying to push the boundaries and just be a really good rider, then of course you're going to scuff it up. But we have a lifetime warranty, so if anything ever cracks, ever breaks, we'll replace it next day.
You guys heard that?
Lifetime
Lifetime warranty. So one of the things, I'm on a lot of female riding groups because there's not a lot of women who ride motorcycles, so we got to stick together.
Yep.
And there's a lot of new riders and a lot of short riders. And when you're short, your feet don't necessarily touch the ground, makes you less stable and more likely to tip over. It is, costly to get your bike lowered, which I highly suggest. So one of the things we talk about is having race rails or a stunt cage. What is the difference between the two, and how does it change how you ride your motorcycle?
Yeah, so a crash cage is going to be like our cage that protects your bike as much as possible. It's going to be a full protection for your fairings, your rear subframe, your wheels, your handlebars, all that stuff. Now, if you don't want a full cage, because sometimes if you have, let's say, a leader bike, something that's really fast, you don't want that extra weight, we have a race rail. Now, the race rail is going to be half of the cage, so it's only going to protect the top section of the bike. It still offers a lot of protection, but it's for those that maybe don't want as much weight and they're not going to be popping wheelies. Maybe you're a little bit more of an experienced rider, that's when you would get it.
That. A little bit more of an experience.
Yeah. If you're a brand new rider, like my biggest customers are husbands that just purchased their wife like a 300cc bike, like a Ninja R3 or whatever the case is, and they'll buy her a full cage, right? And then once she upgrades to let's say a ZXXR, then they'll get a race rail. Because they're not going to be stunning, but they still want that protection that a frame slider or other stuff can't offer.
It's not if you drop your bike, it's when you drop your bike. It will happen even to the best riders. It's common to forget to put down your kickstand. For me, I'll hit a little piece of gravel and my foot will slide. And all of a sudden that foot that I'm putting weight on is gone and we're sitting on the pavement.
Or even sometimes loading it up into the van, how we take our bikes. Like this bike never touches the street. It loads up into the van, and if the ramp is not on correctly, it happens,
Yeah, sometimes you slip, sometimes your shoe's not on all the way, you slide in your slippers.
Anything can happen.
Yeah, so it's really important. I love the example of buying, your wife, your friend, yourself, a new smaller bike. You're going to have those tumbles. Most of the time, I found it's while you're parking your bike. It's while you're duck walking into a parking spot. Just the smallest, and you tips on the floor, and you're like, oh crap, and you stand up, and you're like, I just ruined my bike. My bar ends are bent. The clutch is twisted or broken now. My fairings are cracked up. My paint job is ruined. All because you fell going not even half a mile an hour.
Yeah.
It's not these big crashes we're worried about. It's the parking lots.
Yes.
It's the small things. I'm talking about people who don't, even people who do stunt. That is probably, I would say, the most common way to mess your bike up.
It happens.
So the cages are amazing. They are protecting your investment. I highly encourage it. You know what? If you want the color to match your bike, it might take you 7-8 weeks to get, but it is worth it. And I think the anxiety that customers feel is they get excited, they order the part, and they want to go out and they want to feel fearless.
Yeah.
And they have to wait a month, 2 months to
Well, you don't
fearless.
have to. I mean, the weight is really for the colors.
Yes.
If you get let's say a bare metal cage with no color on it, it'll ship in 2 to 3 days.
I mean, I was lucky to get what you had in stock, and it was at my door the next morning.
Right.
Before we get over there and start touching the bike, we want to talk about stunt riding and how is stunt riding used? How is it your career? What do you do? What makes it cool? Is it dangerous? Tell me the whole story.
So I'm originally from Puerto Rico, moved to the East Coast, Philadelphia, Allentown, Bethlehem area, and one of the big names out there, Jason Britton, caught my eye on TV and at this, it just popped up on my feed and on Instagram. I'm like, hey, I got to go see this guy.
Jason Britton is a legend. A legend. If you don't know who Jason Britton is, you need to do some research.
You need to do some research.
Respect the OGs.
He's been all over the place. So he's one of my inspirations, and he's still my mentor.
We frequently get to ride with him.
Yeah, I mean, I was honored enough to be on his team for 5 years, and got to MC, got to live the lifestyle of traveling, being all over the world, and it was just amazing. So, so I started with there. I found him, went to saw him in Jersey, and from Jersey it just took off. And one day he's like, "Hey, how would you like to join the show?" And I'm like, "What? Me?" And got to join the event, did a little here or there, riding, but riding on the side, not professionally at the time. And I don't know, just took it above and beyond.
We are in parking lots.
Yes.
Vacant parking lots. It's super safe. There's no cars around. We do some dangerous things. We want to do it as safely as possible. What are some of the most impressive and dangerous stunts you've done?
Impressive is pretty much riding on the tank, kind of bringing the bike all the way to this 12 bar and kind of scraping it, and then keep the momentum going on one wheel. And then the one impressive thing on a bike is doing a stoppie. The nose wheelie is different from a wheelie.
Yes.
Right? So now you have the front wheel and the back leveled, and you're just rolling on this front wheel, trusting it that you're not going to flip over.
Now,
So
what happens if like your wheel starts to go left or right? Like,
it's scary. I mean, it's just like either you tip and fall or you kind of catch it, because sometimes in that gravel, like we said, when we're falling or we're slipping on this little bit of gravel,
right.
the front tire does slide out. So occasionally you might get that little slide out and just fall out, or you could get a slip and then kind of catch it and keep going like, oh, that was kind of scary. Let me change my lineup. So when we're stunt riding, we're always looking for lines. We're always looking for different poses so we can get what we want done on the bike.
Right. Now, you guys make it look easy. We've seen you at the Irwindale Speedway with 4 bikes all going in different directions at the same time. You guys make it look so simple and so easy. But the truth is, it's actually very difficult. And an average bike that you ride to and from work, or, you know, to and from my house, come on over, can't do what this bike can do. This bike is fully prepared for stunts. So what does this bike have that my bike doesn't have?
Well, this bike has complete Impacktech crash gauges. It does have easy pull clutch lever.
What's the easy pull clutch lever?
So
Touch
Impacktech.
it. Show it to me. Where is it?
Impacktech has this easy pull clutch lever, which is on most of the bikes, it's like 6-7 inches, right? And you're pulling on it with 4 fingers instead of 2.
Yep.
On my bike, I can pull with 1 finger.
And why is 1 finger better than using your whole hand?
Because for stunt riding, we have a handbrake.
Ooh, what's a handbrake?
So the handbrake is easy for when we're doing wheelies and I'm sitting on the tank and feet over the handlebars.
What does that look like?
Okay, so I'm gonna show you real quick. I'm gonna sit on my tank, and then I have my 1 finger on the clutch and then my middle finger on the handbrake. So when I'm riding on one wheel and I'm all the way towards the back, about 12:45 I call it, and I'm scraping the tail, which is right here, I'm pretty much holding myself up for a different trick, and I can do pretty much a stoppie, I can do a 50-50, I can ride the bike backwards, but it's good for not falling back. So when you're on a wheelie, you don't want to fall back.
So when we talk about 12 o'clock, we mean the front tire as at 12 o'clock on a clock.
Yes, 12 o'clock on.
But in order for the back of the bike to scrape and make that cool lighting effect.
We need to go back a little bit further.
And when you go back further, all of your weight is behind the bike, which means you should fall and crash.
And you need something to catch yourself. So that's why we have a handbrake.
So the handbrake is important because you don't want to fall backwards. But if you hit that brake, wouldn't the bike stop?
No, so you lightly hit it. You don't want to just pull it with all your might. That's why we have, it's a four piston caliper on the back, which makes it super easy. So it's really touchy. And it's something that you learn. Us stunt riders get on the bikes and we learn our bikes. We give them names. We make sure that they're, one with me when I'm on the bike. Because sometimes she does get a little bit kind of mad,
What is this bike named?
I haven't named her yet because I just recently purchased her.
She's new.
Yeah, so I'm still getting used to her and trying to figure her out.
So what is this position you're in with both legs over the front of the bike? You're hanging on. What is this called?
This is called high chair.
Is high chair dangerous?
High chair is dangerous.
Extremely dangerous.
Why is it extremely dangerous?
You're only holding on with your hands. Where are your feet? Your brakes, you have one lever. So if you hit any kind of like bump in the road or bump at the stunt spot, because we're never on the road, it could tip you left or right. So you have to compensate for that. So I'm always moving my body, when I'm on the tank to try to catch myself from falling left, falling right.
So the way that we use the brake, let's talk about wheelies for a second.
Yeah.
When you're doing a wheelie, we often see guys with one hand in the air or the other hand in the air, or sometimes their legs are in a staggered position. What is the benefit of the leg position, and what are we showing when our hands are going up? Just how cool we are? Are we waving at the audience?
It's just another trick. Like just kind of you're thinking about, okay, what other trick can I do while I'm on one wheel?
Right.
Since we have 2. Right now I'm currently on 2.
Right.
But if you're on one wheel, what else can you do? You have your handbrake here, so I can kind of potentially have my leg out this way while I'm on one wheel.
So using the handbrake frees your legs up to do new positions.
Yes.
But what about when you're not using the handbrake?
When you're not using the handbrake, we have our foot brake. So foot brakes right here.
So all motorcycles have a foot brake.
Yes, correct.
So there's positions that you can do on this bike that would not be possible on a bike that does not have a handbrake.
Yeah, because we cut the tank down. The tank usually comes up and around like a pretty big circle of top right here. But we cut them down, I call it the lawn chair. So we can sit on the tank and have different tricks and pretty much use the whole bike instead of not being able to use the tank when the tank's round. If the tank's round, you'll fall right off of the tank, even if you have a little bit of sticky tape or this HT Moto stuff on it.
Speaking of the HT Moto stuff you have on there, what parts of your body make contact with the tank?
Pretty much my whole body. My butt, my legs, I stand on the tank. It's good for when I surf down the street, pretty much. Like, I'm gonna stay low, but I kind of have like a little bit of an angle on there, so I'm not sliding on the tank or on the.
So while you're in this position, we were talking about having a foot brake and having a handbrake and how important it is to control the bike. But now you're standing on the tank. Your legs aren't doing anything. Your hands aren't doing anything besides maybe, doing a little dance, shooting a few hoops.
Yeah.
How do you control the motorcycle?
Balance and control. We also use the idle, and we put the idle up so that way the bike does keep the momentum.
I won't make you keep standing there. You can
as the bike is on its momentum, you can kind of balance yourself out and ride the bike the way I just showed you.
Right. So my motorcycle, for instance, if I let go of the throttle,
it'll shut down. Yes.
Your bike doesn't do that.
No, because right when we start, some people ride at 3,000 RPM. I ride mine specifically at 4,000 RPM for specific tricks. So if I'm on one wheel, I'm at 4,000 RPM. If I'm switched back, riding it backwards, I'm at like 2,500 RPMs, kind of slower, right? But I can control the bike a little better.
When I'm in a group ride at a red light, what do we always do to our friends? We hit the kill switch.
Yeah, always hit the kill switch.
The bike suddenly turns off.
Yeah.
What happens when you're doing a stunt and you hit the kill switch? Does your bike just turn off?
Well, on our bike specifically, we eliminate the key just for that reason. Because when we're riding wheelies, they tend, and I've had this done before because I had a kill switch on my bike before. I jumped to go to 50-50, and the first thing you do is kick your kill switch. Bike shuts off, you go over the front. Now, on this one, we have this NDC top triple, and we pretty much eliminate the key. So this bike is keyless.
So you can't accidentally turn off the bike.
Yes. So now what we do is we put switches on here, which is on the side,
right,
underneath everything, so your leg or anything else doesn't touch it. So it's pretty far away from you kicking it out. It's out of the way, pretty much.
I love
it's an on switch, and then a start button.
Right.
Yeah.
Once again, if you guys want to stunt stock bikes, it is possible.
Mm-hmm. I mean, any bike from like a brand new bike off the showroom floor to something as this, all these parts, all they do is just make it easier for him, right? It just makes it easier on him. It makes it easier for him to stunt in a smaller controlled area, but he can stunt any bike. I mean, from a little Grom to a Ninja 300 to it being stock, he doesn't even need a
bicycle.
Yeah. I ride bicycles too. Shout out to Zeus. Yeah. Zeus got me going on all these kind of bikes. So
yeah, anything is possible, but with the technology of Impacktech, you guys are able to do some really phenomenal stunts, safer, more effectively, with less damage and less cost to your motorcycle over time as you're training, as you're performing. So it would be silly of us to talk about all of the ways we can protect our bike without proving that what you make and what you sell is effective. So why don't we knock this bike over?
Yeah, let's show you.
Yeah.
Hey! I didn't think you were going to go for it.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is what the bike's meant to do, right?
How heavy is this bike?
400 pounds, I believe.
This man just tossed 400 pounds. I need you to stand over here, so not in front of the camera.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, 400.
So if you guys look underneath the bike, you'll notice only the crash cage is touching. Bike is safe.
Yeah, and then we also do make other parts besides the crash cage. Anything you see on this bike that's purple, besides the wheels, we make. So rear sets, mirror block-offs, easy pull clutch lever, clip-ons, adjustable subcage, all that stuff is made here in Riverside.
Yes.
And it can be modified to any color you want.
Yep.
And so quick thing I want to point out is there are no mirrors on this bike because the bikes do often go backwards and forwards. Your legs are on the front.
Right.
So what is on the front of the bike in place of the mirrors?
So these are just some mirror block-offs. When you take the mirror off, the mirror actually mounts to the fairings. So if you take it off, the fairing's just going to wiggle. So you have like a little CNC plate there. That's all it is. It's a really inexpensive mod. It's about $30, but you should only use that for off-road use only. If you are on the street, I highly recommend you always have your mirrors.
Keep your mirrors.
But since we're on the lots, you have mirror block-offs.
Yes.
And one thing you guys are just recently offering to your professional riders, but maybe to the general public, is engraving and customizing these parts?
Yeah, we do a lot of customizing for like Jay. Like for instance, his bike, this is a one-of-one color. It's a violet. We don't offer this on our website. If you see another color we don't offer, chances are they're one of our sponsored riders. Or if you order it in raw, you can do it yourself. You know, you can do any color you want. So we do a lot of customized stuff. The engraving we do only for our riders. It's not available yet to the consumer.
But if somebody has enough money, you could be convinced.
Maybe. We'll see. But it's a really inexpensive thing. I mean, you can take it to any shop near you that is engraving, and they can just engrave it if you get the raw option. So it's not really expensive. It's just time consuming. Yeah, that's really all it is.
So when you're at your next Impacktech show, when you're at the lot and you see somebody with a motorcycle that is completely decked out, look for that engraving on the top of the crash cage, and you'll know that they are a sponsored rider, and you are in the presence of greatness. Where's some of the coolest places you performed?
Oof. I performed all over pretty much. The coolest place right now was, for the first time in a while, Irwindale Speedway was pretty much the coolest. I was on a shoot with Tyler Yahweh, Wiz Khalifa, and Gunna. I did circles. I believe the video is called All the Smoke. It's on YouTube. And they had me do wheelies around Gunna.
So wild.
And then when we went on the street, which was all shut down and all that, because I don't ride streets, but professionally, I chased a camera car on one wheel doing a high chair.
Wow.
And they have a specific shot of me, I was super blessed, and like I was going crazy when I saw the shot. Just me doing a high chair and then looking at the camera, which was pretty cool. So
if you guys are in the film industry, you're making music videos, maybe you've got a private event, you want to have some stunt bikes show up, do some wild stuff to create more ambiance, or maybe you're a raceway and you need to bring some two-wheel entertainment to your four-wheel event. You can contact Impacktech, you can contact Jay Cruze, you can even contact me. We will hook you up. We are a tight community. We love to love the love and share the love and spread the love.
Instagram, Impacktech, TikTok, Impacktech. We only have one account for each. And
do not get fooled by fake accounts.
Yes, a lot of fake accounts.
Did you give away that last bike? Is that still happening?
The giveaway is going to be on Monday, but we had it open for like a week, and I think we had maybe 25, 30 fake accounts that were like trying to scam people. So please don't fall for that. We only have one account. Everything's at Impacktech, no underscore, no period, no nothing.
If you are in a raffle or a contest to win parts or a whole motorcycle from Impacktech, it is Juan Santiago right here who is giving it to you. So only follow that account. Right. Don't be fooled by the fakes, because that's just so sad. Jay Cruze, where can people find you online?
Jay Cruze 21, all over the place. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I believe it's an old name on there, Jay Stunts Cruze, but I'm swapping that to Jay Cruze 21.
We have PR people. We'll fix it.
Shout out to all. Shout out to my biggest sponsor, Impacktech. I mean, they've kept my bikes protected since 2013, I believe.
Same.
2013 and still going strong.
My bike has a wrap on it because I did not protect my investment. And I like to be fearless. But thanks to Impacktech, you know, my wallet can stay full and my bike can stay beautiful.
Yes.
And you can be just like us. Just go buy a bike, buy some parts, come join us at the lot, and we will see you on the next episode of ASN Underground.
Peace.
You're watching ASN Underground. Today's episode was brought to you by Pure Strips. Use code ASN Media for up to 25% off your next order.